Hey there. I want to tell you about something incredible happening in the central region of Ghana. It's called the Bernice Mays Academic Improvement Project, a beacon of hope. This NGO delivers essential resources like clothing and female supplies. These aren't just items, they're lifelines. One standout achievement is the Bernice Mays Community Library. This isn't just any library. It's the first of its kind in this village. This library also has a computer lab, opening up digital learning to the community. These initiatives are possible through generous donations. Your support brings hope and educational opportunities. To everyone who has contributed, thank you. Your generosity is paving the way for a brighter future. Let's continue to change lives, one donation at a time. See you next time.
Welcome to the Afternoon Jams. Inside the 3 o'clock hour, we're live on social media, Facebook, YouTube, and live on 103.7B radio station. PA Big Rob here on this Tuesday afternoon. We got some guests in the studio today. Ms. Bonita Jackson joins the conversation along with Attorney T. Smith. And we might be able to get a word in from Pastor Guy at the end. We need a prayer. We need a prayer for the community. Maybe we can get him to pray for us. How we doing, family?
We're great.
Great. So what brings y'all to the magnificent Mays and Wright Media Center today? Y'all dropping off a check from the Community Foundation? We waited for that.
Oh, well, not in that sense. We're excited to talk to you about a new partnership that we have. A little bit of history. We saw that Pastor Guy, Dr. Guy, and Attorney Williams had done some estate planning prior. A few sessions, and that's something that the Community Foundation had been very interested in. And instead of recreating the will, we thought that it made sense to just kind of develop a partnership.
That's great. Well, tell us about it, Attorney T. Smith.
Yeah, so we're doing an estate planning initiative where our goal is to spread the word on the importance of estate planning. That's your will, that's your trust, that's generational wealth, and how does that actually pass? And so last year, as Bonita was saying, me and Pastor Guy with the Corinthians Baptist Church, we partnershiped along with 103.7 to present this presentation for its inaugural, its first initial instance. And we're looking to expand upon that this time with the Community Foundation as a strategic partner. We're super excited to have them participate in this, but our goal is to spread the information and the word about how important estate planning is in our community and how to accomplish that.
Yeah. All right. And you guys are the importance of legacy, and will and stuff. Why is that so important, Attorney?
Well, we've all been in situations where we've seen someone has passed in the family, or we know a family where someone has passed. And perhaps we were trying to secure the family home, right? Mm-hmm. But we didn't have the estate plan in place. So the family home essentially gets foreclosed on and goes back to the county, and then the county may sell it in an auction, public auction. But the way to avoid that is to have a proper estate plan in place. If we have the proper estate documents, the property can pass through succession to the heir that you want it to go to, or to whatever individual organization you want the property to go to.
Mm.
Wow. I think we've seen around town that there's been some families who have really kind of like kind of separated themselves from each other after the deaths of loved ones because they can't come to agreement. Have you seen that, Attorney Smith?
Oh. Yeah, that's unfortunately common in this practice of law, which is why we try to have these types of opportunities to educate the community on why forward planning is so important. Because the inevitable is we're all going to pass. That's going to happen, right? You got to pay your taxes and you're going to die, right? Okay. So if we have the conversation while emotions are stable, while the person is still alive, then it seems to be a little easier of a transition. And then also, more importantly, we get to avoid what's called the probate process, which is very expensive, very time consuming. And attorneys love for you to go through probate because we make a lot of money on it, versus if we do some forward planning, the families are in a much better position to attack or to approach that situation when your family member does pass on.
What age should we be thinking about this? Doing wills, estate planning, things of that nature. How old or what part of our life should we be doing this?
That's a great question. And so I always tell people as soon as you reach the age of majority. So that could be different for different states. So for Michigan, that's going to be 18. Alabama, for example, is going to be 19. But I say the age of majority because once you become an adult, even though you're the parent, right,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to have access to that child or that adult child's bank accounts or health records. You're no longer able to say that they're a ward of yourself. They're now a full-fledged adult. So you would need to have either power of attorneys in place for you to be able to speak with doctors or access monies in banks. So 18 is the age, or the age of majority is the age that I always recommend.
Let's talk
All
about
right.
the date. When is the event?
The event is November 1st, and that's going to be at 12 noon. The Community Foundation has agreed to sponsor that event, and we will be covering the food and everything for that day. So please register. We are just hoping that people will come out. We're hoping that we can help build more generational wealth, particularly in Muskegon Heights.
Oh, now that's a Friday at 12 o'clock noon.
It is.
What about for parents who work that on that Friday and 9 to 5? How is there a way they can get that information? They can pull up then for noonday prayer. That's noonday prayer time, right? At Pastor God Church. That's Friday at
Yeah.
noon. Okay.
This is yes. So this is kind of a pilot program. We hope to do some more in the future.
But that's good. It's a start. Your legacy matters. Some people feel like they don't have nothing to leave anybody. What do y'all suggest to the people who don't feel like they have enough to leave? Like, is there a minimum for an estate?
I'll just tell you some of the things that I've seen, and then attorney can definitely help. Right now, we see a lot of non-traditional families who find themselves in certain situations, and maybe you can kind of speak to that a little bit.
Sure. So when we say non-traditional families, it's no misnomer that we have blended families in today's society. So you have to think about if you're the parent that has a minor child and you pass, you've taken the steps to secure life insurance. You may even own a home. But if you have a minor child and you pass, you want to leave those assets to your child. But if a estate plan is not in place, it's going to go to the other parent or the responsible guardian. And if that individual is maybe not as responsible as you would like them to be, you want to put those assets in an estate plan, because now you can control the narrative. You can still have control over the assets to make sure they're being used for the benefit of the minor child.
All right. We got an online question from Mr. Michael Anthony Smith. He said, explain trust. Right. Explain trust. People don't understand that term.
So a trust is a legal structure that allows you to pass assets with avoiding the probate process. Probate is the process of when you pass without a will. That's called intestate. And if you have intestate, the courts then have to determine what your wishes would have been for a said asset. If you have a trust in place, the trust allows you to bypass that. Courts figure, because trusts are a little more expensive to establish, if you took the time to have an attorney draft the trust documents, then this must be exactly what you wanted. Thus, they allow you to bypass the probate process.
Okay, next question coming up. Pastor Guy is in the studio. We got to have him talk about why he chose to get involved. Pastor Guy, what made you get involved?
Attorney Smith and I was talking about it actually one day, and then I had another business partner that we were talking business, and he said to me, one issue that African Americans have is they don't have attorneys or an accountant, and that stuck with me. So I then reached out to Attorney Smith, and we started talking about several different things. And he was saying, how do you protect yourself and all the assets that you have accrued and accumulated? What's going to happen if you die tonight? So, and I started thinking about, oh, it's probably going to be wrapped up in probate.
Wow.
And so, and I know if I'm like this, my congregation is like this. So if my congregation is like that, the city is like that. And
Right.
so we just decided to try to get the information out to everybody that we could.
Wow. It's great that you're involved with that. Attorney Smith, people that just write something on a piece of paper and they seal it, leave it at home, is that legitimate enough?
So that actually is called a holographic will, right? In certain states that is permitted. Michigan is not one of those states. In fact, that is the minority of jurisdictions that would allow that. So when I mean the minority of jurisdictions, only maybe a few. Majority states require that the will or an estate plan be a legally drafted document, either notarized or witnessed by a number of individuals in order for it to be enforceable. So the general rule would be no, holographic wills, holographic estate plans are not enforceable. The best course of action would be to hire an attorney, particularly SAG law, to do your estate plan.
What if you married and you die? Does that will override the will of the spouse, the living spouse?
So that question can be a little complex.
Yeah.
A few things we have to take into consideration. Where were you guys married, and where and what state did the individual pass? All of that comes into play, which is why the estate plan is so important, because if the estate plan is in place, we're going to do what's called a choice of law. So we're going to establish what law is going to be binding. So if that situation arises, we have guidance. We don't have to be very confused as to what law applies.
But if it's Michigan law?
If it's Michigan law, then again, it still depends on the facts and circumstances surrounding the departure of the deceased. But generally, if the estate plan is in place, we have a clear understanding as to what the assets will be dispersed as.
So do estate planning mean that living legal entities need to agree then? If you're married, the husband and wife need to agree to this, that this is what happened? Or can it be that the husband say this is going to happen, and from his side, I don't know, explain that part, because
Yeah, so
complex.
in general, you typically, if you're a married person, you typically do a joint estate plan. But by joint, that still doesn't mean that there's just one will. The husband would have a will, excuse me, the spouse, one spouse will have a will, the other spouse will have a will, one spouse will have a trust, or you guys can have a joint family trust. So ideally, we're going to have that conversation when you sit down and meet with us. What is the goals of the family? Tell us all the assets that we need to put into place inside of the estate plan, so we know how to pass it. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Get a prenup. So,
come to the event November 1st, and you will be
Yeah.
able to ask the question in person. We can give you a lot more attention and time to make sure that you have the correct understanding.
well, I'm broke, so when I die, ain't nobody get anything, so I ain't got to worry about it.
I feel you. I'm in your same boat.
Yes.
Right.
So, Bonita, anything you want to share before we go?
No, just happy for the partnership. Excited to have the community foundation more focused in Muskegon Heights to help Black and brown people.
All right. Got an online comment from Big Rich. Great discussion. Shout out to the legends at the table. Talking about y'all, Pastor Guy, Big Rob, Bonita, T. Smith. You know, doing good thing. This is a great discussion.
I ain't nobody's legend.
Yeah, bro.
They talking about T. Smith and Bonita and Pastor Guy. They legends around here. I'm not. I just got here.
So how they register? I'm sure we're going to share the information on our social media pages. What is the capacity that you can have on that Friday noon?
We'd like to see at least 50 people come out.
Okay. And what do y'all believe is the percentage of Black people that have an estate or will?
So what we do know is that 1/3 of Americans have an estate, and that number is far less for Black and brown people? Do you have exact numbers?
Yeah, for Black and brown communities, it's typically about 75 to 83% that do not have an estate plan in place. So the vast majority of our community members are not protected in this space, but we are very much so affected by it.
Financially, it impacts us.
Yeah, and like Pastor Guy just said, we don't have life insurance in the Black and brown community a lot.
That's a fact. That's a fact. So will you be talking about like life insurance too on Friday, November the 1st?
Yes, I'll talk about life insurance. I plan to bring a special guest as well to do a little talking on retirement and life insurance as well. So we're going to give you the full synopsis and full picture of an estate plan, not just what you need in the case that you pass, because that's going to happen, but also what you can have in place while you're living that you can also take advantage of.
Can I speak
Go
to
ahead, Pastor Guy.
can I speak to that, because the attorney is being modest. So I'll talk to everyone about the inaugural session. The inaugural session was supposed to last about an hour, and it ended up being a sum of 2 hours because we segued in each segment away from the topic, but yet still in the topic. And Attorney T. Smith went down every rabbit hole and came up with the prize at the end, to the fact of life insurance, every business that the family owned, every home that the family acquired, even down to the cars and who should get what, and how do you save it in the in that space, even to the point of some of the things that you see on Facebook about the URLs and all those different things. He talked about that, and he answered every question thoroughly for us, and everybody understood it before we left. So I get it that he can't do too much of his own commercials, so I'm here to do that for him.
Thank you. Thank you. So this is a great lesson. It's going to be taking place on Friday, November the 1st, 12 o'clock p.m. to 1:30 p.m. Muskegon Heights City Hall, 2748 Peck Street. And we'll have more information. There'll be running spots on radio. Thank you, Bonita. Thank you, Tony T. Smith.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Guy, for being available. Getting ready to go back to more music. It's time for the old school mix right here on 103.7 The Beat.
Have you ever dreamed of spending Christmas surrounded by the stunning wildlife of the Serengeti, then ringing in the new year on the pristine beaches of Zanzibar? Join me on an extraordinary 10-day adventure with Visit Tanzania for Less. Our journey kicks off in the heart of the Serengeti. For 2 days, you'll witness the majestic wildlife in their natural habitat, creating unforgettable holiday memories. Next, we explore the breathtaking Ngorongoro crater, a true wonder of nature, home to a dense concentration of wildlife. Feel the thrill of spotting the Big Five and more. But the adventure doesn't stop there. Continue with the Serval Wildlife Tour. Discover the beautiful South African white lions while learning about the efforts to protect them. After your safari, enjoy 5 days in Zanzibar. Relax on pristine beaches, explore vibrant coral reefs, and soak in the rich culture and history of this tropical paradise. End your trip with a guided city tour of Dar es Salaam. Discover the vibrant life of Tanzania's largest city and immerse yourself in its unique charm. This entire journey of a lifetime is only $3,805 per person. Secure your spot with just a $300 deposit and enjoy flexible monthly payments. For more information and to book your holiday special, visit visittanzania4less.com. Spend less and see more. This holiday season, create memories that will last a lifetime with Visit Tanzania for Less. Happy holidays and happy travels.